Hi everyone. Excuse me. I'm really sorry. I know this is well overdue. My last video was like 10-week scan and I'm nearly 15 weeks. I'm so sorry. I've been so busy and a bit ill and just busy basically. So I thought I would run through what's been going on. First trimester. I had a bit of thickness, as some of the videos did say, but no, I wasn't actually being sick. I was just feeling sick a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. I felt like I had put on quite a lot of weight because I was eating loads of carbs and crisps and salty things, and I haven't wanted to have anything too saucy or eat anything like sweets or stuff like that. So yeah, I had chewing gum to make myself feel better. That was fine. Then, so the 10-week scan, I then told my family, which I told you about, and then at 11 weeks we told Zav's siblings, his brother and his sister and their girlfriend, boyfriend. We had a barbecue and we told them, well, we basically got them in the front room and showed them the video that we showed my family at 10 weeks. Yeah, and they were really happy and everything. And then we went to France because we were going to announce the 12-week. But the day before, the Friday before we went away on the Sunday, we had our 12-week scan, and I was 11 weeks and 5 days. And before then, that week, the week of my 12-week scan, I went to my first midwife appointment, and I was given this pack, which has basically got my medical notes in it. So it's a green folder. You've probably all seen it. It's got information about birth and when you're going to see people at who you're going to see at 12 weeks, 25 weeks, 28 weeks, 31 weeks, blah 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 blah. Different things I had to go through with the midwife so they can assess whether I'm high risk or not. I should be high risk because of the fact that I had my bowel removed and it's IVF, and because of my age and la 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 la. But I have to see a high risk consultant to find out about birth and stuff, because obviously I've got a J pouch, and what that's connected to inside, it's connected to my rectum, and it's made of the small intestine and it's connected there. So I'm thinking, I always thought, have a C-section, then you can just pull the baby out rather than having to push, where there's the possibility of splitting or having to be cut open and like damage of the bowel, because yeah, that's pretty high risk, isn't it? So yeah, I had to have a blood test on that day, and I had to do a urine test, and I had to do some it was like a breathalyzer test, because they want to see what I think it's what is it that the boiler produces that's bad for you in your house? It's not carbon monoxide, is it? No. I'm sure you know what I mean. I'll put it down below anyway. And most people, because of the atmosphere and the fact that people smoke and you're walking past and you might inhale some cigarette smoke, most people will have like a rating of 1 or 2, 1 maybe. But you're not. If it's like 4, then you got a problem, sort of thing. And mine was 1, so that was fine. Yeah, that was that week. I can't think of anything else that was important about that meeting. Then on the Friday, I went to have my 12-week scan, and I went in there, and she said, I'm going to be really quiet because I need to look at certain things. And she didn't say, oh, there's the heartbeat or anything. So you're like, ooh. But obviously as soon as you look at the screen, the baby was moving around, so that was fine. She measured the neck. There's a tiny little black bit between the skull and the back of the neck, to check for like Down syndrome, and that was fine, measured fine. But it took ages for her to be able to measure it because the baby was laying on the membranes, and I was laying there, and I had to literally quickly turn to the left, turn to the front again, turn to the side, had to go for a walk like 3 or 4 times, and they had to call other people in to be scanned because the baby wouldn't lift its head up for them to be able to measure it correctly. But all this time she wasn't saying everything was okay. All this time I was kind of waiting, thinking, is there something wrong? And then she finally was able to measure and stuff. On that date, I had all the screening blood tests for trisomy 21, 18 and 13, which is Down syndrome, Edwards syndrome and Patau syndrome. PATAU. And I hadn't had the results back by the time I went to France. So I went to France. Let me just show you the scan picture from the 12 weeks. This is what we were given. You're not allowed to film, and you're not allowed, and you have to pay for your pictures. But because we went and got, we went and had to have a blood test afterwards, we weren't really chased up to pay for this. So we luckily got this picture for free. So this was our little one at 11 weeks and 5 days, but I measured 12 weeks 2 days, but they wouldn't change my due date, apparently because it's IVF, and they know, because my transfer was the 13th of May, Friday the 13th of May. She said, when were your eggs collected? Because that's when we'd have to date you from. And I was like, well, they were frozen the month before, but it was a 5-day embryo. So she went back and said that it was like the 9th. But yeah, they dated me 11/4 on that day when I know I was 11/5, and I measured 12/2. So I was measuring like 5 days ahead. So but she wouldn't change my due date. So my due date is still January the 29th, but I think that any more scans that I have, I'm going to be ahead, and they might change it, but I don't know. Apparently the NHS won't. But yeah. Any thoughts? Boy, girl? Yeah, so that's fine. Zav, when we were on holiday, Zav wrote, bun in the oven, cook for 40 weeks at 37 Celsius, ready January 2007. And what we did... Oh, we first went to his grandma's house, and we told his grandma and his aunties and uncles that were there, because we drove from England to Paris and then from Paris up to where their house in France is. So we had to tell his grandparents first, and then eventually we went back to the house in France, but they don't live there, but it's a holiday place, and met his mum and dad, and we had put this into what Zav could find. The only thing that Zav could find that looked remotely like a bun in France. Put the picture here. The biggest bread slab I've ever seen in my entire life. I was like, are you joking? Like, they're not going to go, oh look, it's a bun. They're going to be like, oh great. Not going to really understand. So what they did, we were saying hello. We waited, we said hello and everything first, obviously, and we went. We'd put it into the oven, as the pictures would suggest, and we said to his mum, "Oh, we've made something for you, or we've brought something for you. It's in the oven." Dad stayed with me outside on the terrace. It was quite hot, so, and he was like, "Oh," thinking maybe we'd cooked something for them for their arrival. And Mum went into the kitchen, and we just heard this, "Oh!" So Zav and I were like holding hands, and Dad was looking at us like, "What is this?" She didn't know what it was. She actually thought that it was we'd baked her some bread for their arrival, and the card that was in it was like welcome sort of thing. And we just made them a little card to say hi. And she brought it out. She came outside to where we were sitting, and then she suddenly saw it, so she'd gone, "Oh!" and then basically exploded into a ball of glitter and rainbows. And it was great. But yeah, it was really funny. Even the dad thought, until Mum passed the card to look at, he thought that we'd baked bread, and he was sitting there saying, "Yeah, I was quite impressed with the size of the bread," and like stuff. Like, no. But it was funny. It just added to kind of the amusement of the whole day, really. And then by the time I got back, I got my results back for the blood test, and it says, I feel like I'm doing everything. I'm just going to do like 12 to 14 week update. I'm writing to inform you of your screening results. It shows that having a baby with trisomy 21 in brackets Down syndrome. I'll just show you. It basically says it's low. The chances are low, and the numbers, they give you a little thing with all the numbers on it as well, like less than 1 in 50,000 at term and stuff like that. So yeah, that's all fine. So phew, that's fine. I have got an appointment. I've got an appointment on Tuesday coming to see the high risk midwife to find out whether we will be having a C-section or giving birth naturally. And like I said, we don't want to risk it really. Penny from Athens, she gave me a whole thing. If you remember, if you've been watching my vlogs before, sorry, she gave me a whole thing of like medication to take from when to when. So I eventually, I was prescribed. I had to go to the doctors to get prescribed something for heartburn because it was so bad. That's probably my only, it was probably my only real pregnancy symptom. Big one was the heartburn, because it got to a point where I was having Rennie, but they just weren't working, and everything I was eating or drinking, it felt like every time I was breathing air, I was getting like horrible like heartburn. So they gave me something called omeprazole. I have to take 1 every day. I tried to stop it in France to see whether actually that period's gone because of the fact that I'm a bit later in second trimester now, and no, it still wanted to come back a little bit. I could tell it was coming back, so I just carried on with them. So I eventually stopped prednisolone. From when I got to 12 weeks, I stopped prednisolone. I had to like drop them for 5 days before stopping them. And from 13 weeks, I was able to have a week of lower cyclogest, the progesterone pessaries. So I only had 1, which I did in the evening because it was less messy. And then by the time I turned 14 weeks, I didn't have to have any, and that was like, whoo, celebration. And so now it says that I can stop Claxane, but Fragmin and whatever, but I haven't yet, because it says to continue taking Claxane injections to 13 weeks. Consult your doctor, as it might be advisable to continue depending on your blood clotting problem history. So I was thinking I'll carry on with them because I've got them. Excuse me. And I'll ask the midwife on Tuesday what she thinks, the high risk one. Excuse me. When I went to France, this is 15 minutes, I'm so sorry. When I went to France, I caught a cold. Yeah, the common cold that you normally would just like shrug off in a day or two. 2 weeks later, 2 weeks today, 2 weeks yesterday, I still have it. It was the worst cold. I couldn't take anything. I had Vicks VapoRub. I had paracetamol that I could take, but I wasn't in pain, so there was no need for me to take it. Nothing relieved it at all. So really, that holiday, it wasn't very relaxing. And the heat just made me feel worse, because not because of pregnancy, but just because of being so bunged up, I just couldn't breathe. Yeah, so that's not fun. The fact that you can't take anything for like common cold, whatever. You can't medicate yourself. The last video, I borrowed Phoebe's Doppler, and since then, because yeah, there's obviously things that I'm being borrowed, I need to give back and stuff. But we really wanted to try one that had the thing on the screen where it tells you the heart rate, and you can hear it out loud rather than have it in your earphones. So I've got one of these. I'm burping, I'm so sorry. I've got one of these, and I will insert a clip or 2 of us using it here. It's interesting. Oh, it went up to 155. 156. It's an average of 150, yeah?
Yeah.
Literally pressing it into my... No babies were harmed in the making of this. Oh, he's tired.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's been nice. Reassurance. But I know midwives out there, I know that this isn't advisable, and people say that, you know, if someone was unconscious in the street and you went over and you checked their pulse, would you just get up and walk away and go, oh, their heart's still beating, they're fine? It doesn't mean that everything's fine. I know that I'm not misplacing the heartbeat for the placenta or anything like that, because it's big enough now that it's pretty loud. It used to be had to be quite low down, and I'd have to like almost point it under my pubic bone, but now it's just in the middle, kind of near my scar. And yeah, nice and loud, as you've just probably heard. What else do I need to tell you? Starting to get a little bump, which is weird. Let's see if I can get it on camera. And then I'll leave it there because, oh yeah, let me show you the bump first, and then I'll tell you what's happening in the next week or two. Can you see this? This little, here to here probably. That, my friends, is that kind of good, or this way? That might be better. That is 14 weeks and, what are we, Wednesday? 3 days. Every Sunday I turn a week, so that's a bit weird. I've only just started getting this bump, so it's been like the end of 13 weeks / 14 weeks. I started to feel a bit, you know, and because I've had this cold, coughing and sneezing hurts my bump, because your uterus is just like has to tense up really quickly. And not my news, but what's happening in the next week, not this Saturday, the following Saturday, Zav and I are going to a 16-week scan, and because we're not getting one until 20 weeks and 4 or something like that, and we are probably going to find out the gender. So yeah, I'm going to Phoebe's again because I like the sonographer there, and you couldn't film or take any pictures in the 12-week scan, so this one we really want to, especially if it's like a gender scan, they're going to do a bit in 4D, and we just really want to like have everything on footage, and because this might be the only baby, you know, if obviously most likely not going to do IVF again, but you never know, but whatever. Then we want to be able to have this moment, you know, and just have all the videos and everything there. So we are going to probably take a little tripod, because last time she was just like talking to us, had the Doppler on me for the whole time, like I could see on the screen the baby the whole time. And yeah, so we're going to film it, so that will probably be the next update, because that's only in like a week and 3 days, something like that. So yeah, I'm really sorry I've left it so long. I've been so busy and tired. Just managed to have a second today, and I didn't want to leave it all the way to 16 weeks because that's just crazy. 10 weeks to 16 weeks, my bad. And yeah, that's my update, and I will talk to you at my next one, which will be 16 weeks. Boy or girl, what do you think? I'll put the picture here in big so you can see and see if there's any nubs and all that malarkey, but I don't really know how it works. But yeah, talk to you soon.